Hey guys, how are you? I wanted to do, hopefully for real, a quick video on a question I posed to a couple of my guy friends. And I haven't heard back from everybody yet, but I did ask a question about, or asking them, what was the number one quality that they wanted in a woman. Now, I've asked several different friends of mine in different age groups, and different, different ones. So I haven't heard back from everybody yet. So I'm going to end up, I guess, just kind of making this into like, it's not a mini series, right? This is not a mini series. This is not a TV show, but I'm going to end up answering this, as I get answers back in from guys, as I get different answers in. Okay. But I wanted to just kind of like touch on a few points of what I've already heard back from a few guys, okay? So, because I think this is very interesting, because I know, and I think as women, we talk a lot of times, we think we know kind of what guys want, right? But I always think it's funny or interesting when you actually hear from a guy what he's looking for in a woman or a relationship or a wife, and I did specifically say like a wife or like a long-term relationship, okay? I'm not talking about what he would want for a side chick or a fling or a, quickie. Okay, we all know what that is. We know what he wants for that. And also, I took sex off the table, okay? So, like, that's not an answer, because we all know that every guy, every man wants, obviously, they want the physical part of the relationship, the physicalness. We know that. A guy is a guy, and he's a man, and, that's a given, okay? That's a given. I think that's a given at, like, any age, okay? But anyway, so we took that off of there. So I did receive a few answers back. So I think it's very interesting, because, like I said, as women, we might think that they want one thing, or we might think the answer is, one thing in particular, but it's really something else or whatever. But what I have actually noticed through the years, and the reason why I asked this question, is because one thing I noticed through the years, just in general, just interaction and talking with different men, and I'm talking about even like my friends' husbands and things like that, like just talking. What I've always noticed is usually whatever a man answers, usually, not always, but usually reflects whatever he feels or whatever he's like not getting at that moment, or what he didn't get in the last relationship. And maybe even women, maybe we're like the same. We're probably similar to that too. A lot of times maybe your answer might be in what you feel like you're not getting at that moment, okay? So I always find that very interesting, because literally the answers that I got back already so far were all different. They were all different. And I just think that's so interesting, right? So I just wanted to share, I wanted to just kind of share that and talk about it. I just wanted to just talk about it, just voice it, just as to give all of us women and us ladies and you guys something out there to think about, right? Okay, so one of the answers that I got back was loyalty. And honestly, out of all the answers that I've got back so far, this person's was the one that related to me the most. Or the one that I related to, the one that I personally related to the most, because the number one thing I want hands down from a man is loyalty and protection. Loyalty and protection. I mean, those, to me, that's my number one. But anyway, his answer was loyalty, and he values a woman who wants to keep a clean home and his stomach full. So, like, I'm reading my answers now. That's what I'm doing. Now, again, I relate to that because that's the way I was taught. That's the way I was raised. Growing up was, that was very much how I was raised. From my mother and my grandmother, okay? But there's a lot of men, because this person who answered this question, he's a good friend of mine or whatever, but he has his friend who I asked the same question to, literally, like, that's not on his list at all, because he's like, I know how to keep my own house clean, and I can cook for myself. So there's a lot of guys who are already domesticated who don't care, I guess, if a woman can come to the table with cooking and cleaning skills. So you see, this is so crazy to me. This is where taking time and getting to know a person really, really, really well, and what they really like matters. Because if you feel like one of your skill sets or one of the things that you bring to the table is, in fact, being able to cook and clean, and he's like not really impressed with that or doesn't really care about that so much, then you might be with the wrong person. If that's not going to speak love to him, then that's you might want to get with somebody. You might want to get with somebody else, right? But that so the next answer I got, speaking of that, the next answer that I got was basically just helping a woman who knows how to carry herself, her femininity, as basically what he was saying. He didn't say it in this manner, but what he was actually talking about was a woman who could balance her femininity with her masculine side. So basically learning, knowing how to be a team player in a relationship. Because obviously when you're married and when you're in a relationship, you've got two different people, right? So you do need to have either some sort of goal, the same goal, similar goal. You need to know where you're going. Where is the relationship actually going? Like what is the goal? What is the purpose and the goal? And what are we trying to get out of this relationship? If you have kids, then, that's obviously going to be one of the number one goals in continuing a relationship with somebody of some sort. Like, even if you're just co-parenting, you're still going to have that same basic goal of helping the kids, grow up to adulthood or whatever, right? But if you're actually in that relationship, and I have touched on this a little bit before in some of my past videos about being, how to juggle work-life balance and everything, but it is something I do plan on talking about a little bit more, and some of what I personally have noticed, or some of my personal experiences in learning or trying to balance your femininity with your masculine side, because there is a balance. And this is especially what he talked about, or what he was actually talking about is, he mentioned not undermining, not contradicting your husband and all these things. There are plenty of books and plenty of information about that. But there is a fine line, and it is very hard to walk that line when you are a bossy chick, or a firstborn, or you own your own business, or you're the CEO, or you're a manager, or anybody in charge of anything, like at your job or whatever, right? And I can relate to this because I absolutely have suffered from this very thing my whole entire life, because I am a firstborn. I do tend to be very bossy, and I definitely got put in my place. Okay, because at some point you do learn that if you want to continue to have a good relationship with the opposite sex, your male counterpart, whether it be at work or at home, it doesn't matter, you better learn how to walk that line, because the truth is, men absolutely want a feminine woman, but a lot of men I know absolutely are attracted to a bossy chick or a woman who can go out and get her own, do her own thing, or whatever, a woman who is on the move, or at least can take care of herself. Okay, I know a lot of guys who are absolutely attracted to a woman who are like that. They attract those type of women. Their mother was probably something like that, and so they tend to naturally be attracted to bossy women who are career oriented or goal oriented, or they have visions for their life or whatever, right? And they're attracted to that, but yet sometimes that will take over. That spirit will take over and spill over into their relationship, right? So yeah, that is a whole video on itself, and actually books, people have written books on it. It's a whole topic unto itself, but I do know what he was talking about, and it is a skill. It is a skill set. And the number one thing with that, I think, is just actually being mindful of it. I think the number one thing to helping that in particular in a woman and in a relationship is just knowing that that's an issue, and actually just being mindful of that. That's probably the number one thing that you can do to help fix that particular situation. Anyway, so that was what the next person wrote me back that he texted me that was the number one thing he was looking for. The another friend of mine texted back that he wanted good communication. That's what he said. He wanted a good communicator, someone who was a good communicator who had, you know, good conversation. And actually, I have actually heard that. I've actually heard that from several men in the past. I've definitely heard that from several guys in the past. They're just like, you know, they want a girl who knows how to, you know, talk, who knows how to communicate, who knows how to open her mouth, who knows how to say whatever. And I find that to be funny because I think most girls, or most women that I know, are too mouthy, talk too much, or have too much opinions, too much to say. So, but I have heard this from several men that it's like, okay, yeah, their woman might talk or she might be mouthy, but what's coming out of her mouth isn't necessarily conversation worthy. So, I don't know. To each his own, right? But I have definitely heard that on at least 3 or 4 times I've heard that from different guys, that they like a woman who can conversate. They crave good adult conversation, you know. Yeah. And so I would say if as a woman, you know, if that is something that your man craves and you feel like you're not able to give that for some reason, I would probably say read a book. I would say read something, right, of interest to you and maybe to him, something, so that way you have something to kind of like talk about, you know, that might interest the two of you and you have some knowledge about it, right? Because I'm a reader. I've always been a book reader, and that in itself will give you mental capacity. Okay, as far as like, if you are with a guy who likes debate club, I call it debate club, or who likes to go back and forth and likes to talk, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, that was one of the answers that I got back. And then the last one said, he said he wants a woman who can balance, or basically puts God first, her husband second, and family third. Again, that kind of touches on the balance of learning how to balance femininity, your femininity, with other aspects of your life. And this is something I feel like, as all of us women, most women, if you're a woman, you wear several different hats. I don't care if you're married or not. I don't care if you're in a relationship or not. If you're a woman, you wear several different hats. You may be the oldest of your family, you may be a sister or an aunt or whatever, and so therefore you are going to wear that hat, or, you know, one time, and then if you work full time, then you're wearing another hat, your work hat, whether that is being a boss or being in charge of a crew, or if you're an entrepreneur, or just at work, whatever that is, right? And then if you are a mom, you know what being a mom is. Being a mom also wears several different other hats and other jobs, right? So being a mom means you're also a therapist, a counselor, a boo-boo kisser, you know, you preparing lunch, a lunch maker, dinner, cook, maid, depending on how old your children are, you know, if you're nursing them, or if once they get older, then it's like I said, you're a therapist or a counselor, or, you know, you're the driver. You might be, you know, soccer mom, you know, whatever the case, right? Like literally being a mom is like 50 million jobs all at once, right? But then we can't forget that being a wife also means you are the wife to your husband, right? So there is a balance there. And again, you know, that's for another whole long video, but putting your husband second, you know, a lot of that again goes with yeah, I think I just want to talk about that another whole video. But just, there is a balance, and making sure that we nurture and love our husbands, and that we give him his time too, and that we speak his love language, whatever that is, right? That we are giving some time to speak in his love language. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say for this video. I really didn't want it to be longer than 15 minutes, so I definitely wanted to cut it off in time. I'm going to be doing more and more videos as I get more and more interest back. I just think it's fun to talk and get all this out. So bye, see you.